In this video, we take the most watched course on Udemy about machine learning with over 1.2 million learners and compress the 49 hours in a 30 minutes video. In traditional programming, you feed a computer explicit rules and raw data. The computer processes that data and gives you an answer. In machine learning, you flip that script. You feed the computer the inputs and the expected outputs. The machine analyzes those pairs and figures out the underlying rules for itself. This process allows computers to find complex patterns that human programmers could never code by hand. To build a project using this logic, you must follow 5 specific steps: data preprocessing, model training, model evaluation, hyperparameter optimization, and production deployment. Understanding this 5-step pipeline is the absolute foundation for turning raw data into predictive power. Garbage in, garbage out. That is the golden rule of data science. This table shows the first step of preprocessing, splitting your data. Features, the matrix capital X, are your input variables. Targets, the lowercase vector y, represent the exact values you want to predict. Real-world datasets often have missing records. If you simply delete those rows, you throw away valuable information. Instead, we use imputation, calculating the average of a column to fill those blank spots without introducing bias. Categorical data like color names can confuse a model. If you assign numbers to red, green, and blue, the model assumes blue is mathematically larger. One-hot encoding solves this by creating a new binary column for every category using only ones and zeros. You must also handle scale. A $100,000 salary will mathematically overpower a 20-year age gap in almost any algorithm. Feature scaling equalizes every numerical feature down to a common standardized range. Why must you split this cleaned dataset into training and testing blocks? If you evaluate your algorithm on the same data it used to learn, you create data leakage. It is like grading a student on the exact homework problems they just finished solving. Meticulous pre-processing protects the algorithm from memorizing noise, ensuring it learns the actual patterns within the dataset. When you want to predict a continuous numerical value, like a house price or a stock trend, you use regression algorithms. Look at this graph. Simple linear regression draws a single straight line through these scattered points. The goal is to shift this line until you minimize the sum of squared distances, or errors, between the line and the actual data. If your data does not form a straight line, polynomial regression allows the line to bend smoothly into a curve. Alternatively, support vector regression fits a tube or margin of tolerance around the data, only penalizing points that fall outside those boundaries. Decision trees ignore geometric shapes. This structure splits your dataset into smaller buckets by asking sequential yes or no questions, drilling down until it reaches a final leaf node to average out a prediction. Is one tree is good, hundreds of decision trees are better. Random forest regression trains separate trees on random subsets of your data and averages all their predictions together. This technique stops individual trees from overfitting to specific outliers. By combining these geometric lines and tree-based splits, regression models quantify the relationship between your input features and the resulting numbers. Regression predicts numbers. Classification, however, sorts data into discrete categorical labels. It determines if an email is spam or if a bank transaction is fraud. This S-shaped curve is the engine behind logistic regression. It passes its output through a sigmoid function, which squishes any result into a probability score between 0 and 1. K-nearest neighbors relies entirely on proximity. To classify a new data point, the algorithm measures geometric distances and finds the closest points already in your dataset. If the majority of those neighbors are red, the new point becomes red. Support vector machines try to draw a flat boundary with the maximum possible margin of space. When points are mixed in the circle, the kernel trick mathematically projects the data into a higher dimensional space, where a flat boundary can finally separate the two classes. Naive Bayes classification uses conditional probability. It assumes that every input feature is independent of the others. Even though features are rarely independent in reality, this simple assumption allows for incredibly fast and effective text classification. Classification turns ambiguous, chaotic inputs into the definitive choices that drive automated action. This table shows a common trap. Judging a model by accuracy alone can lead to dangerous conclusions. If 99 transactions are legitimate and only one is fraudulent, a model can hit 99% accuracy just by blindly guessing legitimate every time. It is accurate, but it is useless at catching fraud. To measure real success, you use a confusion matrix. This grid tracks 4 specific outcomes: true positives, true negatives, false positives, and false negatives. These outcomes allow you to calculate precision, how many of your model's positive calls were actually right, and recall, how many of the total real positive cases did your model actually find. Finally, the F1 score acts as the harmonic mean, balancing precision and recall into one single metric. Mastery in data science is not just about training an algorithm, it is about rigorously proving that those algorithms make the right decisions in the real world. Up to this point, supervised learning has relied on target labels to guide our models to the correct answers. In unsupervised learning, those labels drop away. You feed raw features into the machine and ask it to find hidden patterns and natural structures entirely on its own. To segment a dataset without defining the rules beforehand, we use k-means clustering. The algorithm follows 5 steps. First, you choose k, the total number of clusters. Second, it places k random starting points, called centroids. Third, it assigns every data point to its closest centroid. Fourth, it calculates the average position of those points and moves the centroid to that exact center. Fifth, it repeats the process until the centroids stop moving. This chart plots within cluster variance against different values of k to determine the optimal number of clusters. By looking at the line chart and finding the sharp bend where the rate of drop suddenly flattens out, the elbow point, you identify the exact right value for k. Agglomerative hierarchical clustering takes a different approach. Instead of picking centroids up front, it treats every single data point as its own starting cluster. It finds the 2 closest points, merges them into a pair, and continuously merges the nearest clusters step by step until all data points sit inside one giant group, mapped out here in a dendrogram. By selecting a specific height threshold on this visual tree, you instantly define the number of clusters for your dataset. This method allows you to group massive customer bases based on their mathematical proximity, rather than manually creating categories. To model retail behavior and drive recommendation engines, we use association rule learning. The a priori algorithm scans thousands of historical shopping baskets to discover exactly which products naturally co-occur when customers check out. We evaluate these association rules using 3 mathematical metrics. Support tracks how frequently a specific combination of items appears across your entire transaction history. Confidence measures what percentage of transactions containing item A also contained item B. Lift calculates the true strength of the association. A score higher than 1 proves that buying item A significantly increases the likelihood of buying item B compared to random chance. While association rules rely on static historical datasets, reinforcement learning learns through continuous trial and error inside a dynamic environment. An artificial agent performs actions, receives positive rewards for optimal choices, and incurs negative penalties for mistakes, steadily learning a winning strategy over time. Consider testing 10 different digital ad designs. If you test all 10 equally, you waste budget on bad designs. Pick a winner too early, and you miss a better option. Algorithms like upper confidence bound solve this exploration versus exploitation dilemma. They dynamically allocate your traffic to the best performing ad designs while keeping a small percentage of impressions active to test the remaining variations. This automated shift toward identified winners limits the frequency of showing low performing ads. As the system continues to gather data on the variations, it moves toward the statistically most effective strategy for the campaign. Standard algorithms operate on clean, tabular spreadsheets. Deep learning scales beyond that, allowing machines to ingest messy, unstructured data, like raw, high-resolution images, audio files, and free-form text. Artificial neural networks process this data using 3 structural layers. An input layer receives your raw feature variables. 1 or more hidden layers extract abstract patterns from those inputs. Finally, an output layer delivers the concrete prediction. Inputs flow into a neuron, multiply by their mathematical weights, add a baseline bias, and pass through an activation function in a process called forward propagation. The network then measures its error using a loss function. Through back propagation, it uses gradient descent to send those error signals backward across the network, making tiny adjustments to every weight and bias to reduce overall loss. Because standard networks are overwhelmed by the millions of pixels and high-resolution images, convolutional neural networks step in. CNNs pass small mathematical matrices called kernels across an image to automatically identify sharp edges, shapes, and complex visual traits. Next, pooling layers like max pooling downsample those feature maps to shrink their dimensions while keeping the most critical visual signals intact. By condensing millions of pixels into these essential visual signals, CNNs enable the complex object recognition required for medical diagnostics and self-driving visual systems. A single trained test split might yield a high score just by getting lucky with a specific subset of data. K-fold cross-validation provides a strict audit. You divide your dataset into K-equal segments, usually 10. You train your model on 9 parts, test it on the remaining section, and repeat that process 10 times. Averaging those 10 scores gives you a reliable, unbiased performance benchmark. To squeeze out maximum accuracy, Grid Search automatically tests every possible combination of hyperparameters to find your optimal configuration. And for winning performance on structured tabular data, you rely on XGBoost. It builds decision trees sequentially, with every new tree specifically analyzing and correcting the exact errors made by the previous ones. A model stored on your local computer generates zero business value. Deploying to production using AWS SageMaker requires a 5-step architecture: uploading data to an S3 bucket, spinning up compute instances for model training, running automated tuning jobs, hosting the artifacts on a managed SageMaker endpoint, and establishing API integration to connect your model to web applications. This maps out the complete pipeline. You pre-process and clean your raw data. You choose the right algorithm family for regression, classification, or clustering. You apply XGBoost for structured datasets or neural networks for unstructured data. You validate with K-fold, fine-tune with Grid Search, and host the final model on AWS SageMaker. You now have the complete, high-level map to navigate the end-to-end machine learning pipeline. Stop studying pure theory. Grab a dataset, launch your coding environment, and start building your own models today.